Hello, and welcome to another edition of Ben Wolkoff Debriefs the Transition. Today, I had the wonderful opportunity to meet with Steve Hamilton from Columbia Middle School, the principal there, and to meet with him, with Steve Clagg, to talk about their approach to the rollout for the middle school math curriculum. And as a result of that conversation, something became very clear to me about the transition. And that is that there are lots of needs that need to be supported, lots of needs that need us to support them. Some needs are more urgent than others. Some needs are more important than others, but we have to listen to all of the needs. Columbia is a blue school. They have different needs than East, and Steve Hamilton made the comparison between Columbia and East a number of different times, saying that East has a significant, he said 10 times more operating budget than Columbia does. But they have different needs. Columbia has some infrastructure, building-wide infrastructure, that is different than what East has based upon when their building was built and what their electrical looks like, and that is a need that needs to be raised. And this was all in the context for deciding exactly what should happen and who should receive more funds in order to be able to implement the same program, right? They're both implementing the Pearson system of courses on devices, right? This curricular resource requires devices. What was really interesting, was that Columbia is going to look at iPads rather than the touch Chromebooks that was recommended for them based upon the fact that they already have lots of Chromebooks and there would need to be no, transition necessarily for using those Chromebooks. But what kept being raised was that actually that's not a need that he sees, that Steve Hamilton sees. The reason for that is that the students don't have an issue using a touch-based device of an iPad. The teachers might, but we're talking about 2 teachers, right, that are actually supporting that. And that support from whether it's our team or other teams or even just internal in the building is possible. And so that was very interesting to say, you know what, this need is not so ever-pressing that we continue to build out Chromebooks. The need that he was identifying in sort of choosing iPads was, this was Steve Hamilton speaking, I need to be confident that the learning that is proposed by this curricular resource is actually happening, and that it's not the technical difficulties of the touch-based Chromebook that has not yet been tested with this curriculum. I need to know that the learning is happening. And it was so student-centered, and it was so focused on the learning rather than the device, that it felt like, why wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't we allow for principals to decide that this was a better choice for their teachers, for their students? And it made me think that there is a bigger question here of what is the most urgent need that we can support? What is the most important need that we can support? And where's the crossover between those? I'm sure all of you have seen the 4x4 Punnett square, or however you want to categorize it. It's a 2x2, not a 4x4, a 2x2 square. Where you have urgency and importance, and there are things that are high urgency, low importance. There are high urgency, high importance, low importance, higher, the whole, all 4 of those combinations, right? And thinking about how do we target the urgency and importance that is required of us for supporting teachers and supporting leaders. and in looking at rollouts that are very concrete, like the rollout of a particular curriculum, how do we look to those things so that we don't get caught off guard by the total urgency of there is something on fire, but we never get to the importance? Or we are only tackling these really difficult, important things, but there is a fire that is happening that is actually really, really valuable. And so, as a concrete step, one of our action items was to meet with the teachers at least at Columbia, but I have a feeling it may become a trend across the other schools too. But to meet with the teachers, at least at Columbia, not just that are implementing the math, but that are in the whole team. So looking at the science, math, social studies, language arts, across the entire team, all 4 of them, and saying, the math teacher is going to be implementing this on a different device. What does that mean for all of us? The math teacher is going to be looking at this resource, and that means that the other resources are no longer consumed in that math classroom. So how do you want to do that? How do you want to distribute those other Chromebooks across the other 3 parts of the team, or to the specials, or however we want to categorize that, right? So to me, that conversation about, let's get together and talk through what are those needs across those teachers, not just from the one perspective, that math implementation, not just from the device perspective, not just from the electricity perspective, but looking at all of the needs and establishing what it is that is most important. So I put it to you, if you are so inclined, what are the urgent and important needs that you are hearing? How can we better identify those? And how do we sort of transition into this space where we know that the things that we are supporting are both urgent and important? Hopefully you had a great day yesterday, and today will be an even better one for creating, learning, and teaching. Hope you have a good one.